I need him!
Please, don't! No!
Hey, hi, howdy, hey. The remaining Jedis that survived the Purge. Wolfman 47 Dasher. So we all know the whole thing with Star Wars. Order 66, it happened. Many Jedi died at the hands of clone troopers. And although at the time it was implied, at the time of release of Revenge of the Sith back in 2005, it was heavily implied that most, if not all, the Jedi were killed, with the exception of those that did survive in the film. Because that was George Lucas's idea. He didn't really care much for most characters. He just wanted to focus strictly on the Skywalker people and the people associated with them, kind of like in a big relationship sort of way. So when it came to the expanded media, many people wanted to give character development to all these different Jedis that were around before the Jedi Purge, and that led to the success of the second Clone Wars animated series, in which many Jedi in that series had character development. They developed as characters, and it made a lot of people think what would happen if more Jedi survived Order 66. Now, I know I'm late to the party because this is a topic that people talk about to death. That's just my computer going. It's a topic that people talk to death, and many people have come up with different theories and everything, and I don't think there's anything I could really add to that, because pretty much everybody that said what they wanted to say about the theory is pretty much spot on. Because if more Jedi survived, the simple thing would be a case of Palpatine and Anakin would both fail in their actual plans. The only downside is more Jedi would still die, don't get me wrong, but if some more Jedi did live on, then both Obi-Wan and Yoda would have enough heads or people to fight both Palpatine and Anakin Skywalker, or Darth Vader at that point. And I think what would happen is Palpatine would definitely well and truly be killed, and actually properly be killed, not thrown off the Death Star, only to then revived somehow years later, in universe years later, I should say. And Anakin would of course not be burnt up or anything. He probably would still be burnt up and everything, but the fact that Obi-Wan would actually I'm gonna rephrase this. So Palpatine would probably still die, would definitely be well and truly dead. And with Anakin, Obi-Wan did best him in the end. He didn't really need much backup in that sense, but and he did leave Anakin for dead. And the chances are probably Anakin would have definitely well and truly died. Although some people would have recovered him anyway, and maybe, I don't know, reconstructed him to be the Darth Vader character. But yeah, he'd probably still be a Dark Jedi, or if not, or if Obi-Wan did have backup, he'd probably be told, let's put Anakin into this facility and where he stays, and yeah, balance would be formed, Force children and so forth would still happen and all that stuff. So yeah. So I guess I should talk about the Jedi that did survive Order 66, because even though the films implied that only a handful survived, there are actually a few more that did survive. And I'm only going to talk about the ones that are in the canon, not the expanded media. So obviously the first one is Yoda. He survived. He went to live in the Dagobah system for the rest of his days. Obi-Wan survived, having managed to evade clone troopers, and he would go on to stay in hiding on Tatooine while Luke Skywalker is being raised with his own Anakin's descendants or whatever. Obviously, there is a point in Obi-Wan's time there where he does encounter Darth Vader before he encounters him again later down the line in the Obi-Wan series. And then we've got Ahsoka. Now, Ahsoka isn't technically officially a Jedi at this point because she left the Order after they treated her badly for wrongdoings that she obviously didn't clearly do. So she went to forge her own path. So I think obviously she did survive Order 66 in the end, but yeah, it is what it is. Then there's also Cal Kestis, the protagonist of the Star Wars Jedi games that EA have made and have gained great success from. Which we were told about in the very first game. He did survive, and I don't think he really betrayed or left his Jedi ways. He just decided to spend his life as a junker before uniting with some former Jedis with a former Jedi and her pilot to try and form the Jedi Order once again. And this would ultimately lead to Cal sort of being tempted with the dark side, and I don't know what's going to happen with the third game, if we are getting the third game in that series, but I guess we'll find out in due course. And I can't think of any other Jedis that would have survived. Oh yes, sold on. Sorry, the Rebels crew, because there was at least 2 characters in the Rebels crew that were Jedi, so there's that as well. So yeah, many people assume that lots of Jedi die in Order 66, but a lot of us hardcore fans do remember the ones that did survive and tried their best to do some good in the hopes to revive the Jedi Order. And obviously with Mace Windu, who obviously battles Darth Sidious, it's never really it's not really clear as to whether he did in fact die. He was just thrown out a window. He could have, I mean, for all we know, he could have gone onto a vehicle and went into hiding and so forth and all that. But by the point of The Rise of Skywalker, most of these Jedi, or in fact all of these Jedi, would have been well and truly passed on. We obviously know the fates of Obi-Wan and the fate of Yoda. Ahsoka is in another universe, so we don't know if she's lives. But by the time of Rise of Skywalker, she's well and truly gone. I don't think we hear Cal Kestis' voice in Rise of Skywalker because at that point the game wasn't even made. So yeah, and yeah. I will say Disney have tried very hard to do justice to Star Wars by expanding upon elements that were seen in between the main films and so forth. But it's not always been successful. Like the first of their sequel trilogy, was the best film, and then they released Rogue One, which was a great film, and then the rest of the feature films that they made, not so good. Disney Plus series, it was a mixed bag. Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor, and I've not seen Skeleton Crew yet, but I will do. But at the time of recording, were great shows, whereas Book of Boba Fett, Acolyte, and others weren't so good. Visions was experimental, because it is what it is. And I've kind of gone off topic, but yeah, I think on the whole, if more Jedi survived, the outcome would have been much different. It would have been the opposite of what happened in Revenge of the Sith. But obviously, it had to happen in the way of Revenge of the Sith because otherwise, the original trilogy would have been pointless. Like we wouldn't have had Darth Vader wouldn't have been created. Palpatine would have not ruled the galaxy, and the fact that there's so little Jedi by the time of the original trilogy, these Jedi were gonna kick the bucket either way. It just would have been nice if we had more character development with them within the films, but obviously because George Lucas was too focused on Anakin Skywalker and just Anakin Skywalker's story with the characters associated with them, it just wasn't meant to be. So yeah, So that's what I think about what would happen if more Jedi survived Order 66. Obviously, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm obviously not the first, and I definitely won't be the last to talk about this. I'm just sharing my take on it, and it's probably going to be no different to any other person's take on it. It's just important for me that I make it clear that Obi-Wan and Yoda are not the only Jedis that survived Order 66. There were a handful more, and I would have wished more would have survived after having watched them all those characters develop in the Clone Wars TV series, the second one. So yeah. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. I upload videos at various times daily in the BST/GMT time zone. I do vlogs like this where I talk about things in pop culture as well as other stuff that I'm interested in. I talk about life in general. I also do hauls, film reviews, and other things too. I'm also a gamer. I do gameplay videos, which is just straight up gameplay and nothing else. Maybe some memes thrown in for good measure. Let's play videos too. I do those as well. Don't need to explain what those are. You all know what they are. And I also do shorts celebrating anniversaries and birthdays of people and things that I like. So that's what I do. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to share with your pals, do so. If you want to leave a comment, do so. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And remember, even though the Star Wars fandom can be quite a delicate fandom, and it does have a lot of trolls that really sort of hate the change that Disney want to make to the show, just enjoy it and draw your own conclusions. If you really honestly don't like what they've done with Star Wars, then yeah, of course, share your frustration, but don't assume that just because some other trolls are making out that it's bad, don't come to the conclusion that it's going to be bad for you. Just watch the stuff, play the stuff, read the stuff, listen to the stuff, because I know there's some radio plays as well, and draw your own conclusions for Star Wars, because yes, okay, Disney might be bringing it down to the ground, but there's much. It's probably in the best place it is for now, and I don't know if it will stay with Disney, but I hope it does go in the right direction going forward. And from what I've heard about Skeleton Crew, it definitely sounds like it's going in the right direction. So yeah, or I hope so anyway. All right, toodles.
Execute Order 66.